All right, everyone, we're going on to the next layering color or the next color in line. And I'm doing that one. That's the lip one, which is F231. I'll put it right on the screen there. And part A, 50-50 mix again, you guys. Remember, all of them are 50-50 mix, half and half. I've got it laid out on this little tray here, and I've got the makeup sponge. And we will draw in. I'm just going to show you a little bit again. Like I said, I'm just going to do a little bit of the front since you guys got to see the back more in detail. I'm just doing all the same steps. The only one I didn't do was the mottling. I skipped that step with her only because she has enough mottling on the front and she didn't have as much chipping on the front. So I'm just going to show you again some chipping area where you see it on the arm right there. So we'll just go ahead and do that. And I'm going to do her entire body again with this color just to add some more coloration to her. So we're just going to go right here and start putting in again, the next color in line to cover up where she was chipping. Make sure if you have any lines or anything that show up there that you go over that. Because again, once it dries, you cannot get this paint off. Like I explained in the video with Abel, these are not easy to do. These paintings of these silicone babies are not easy. They look really simple. I thought the same thing. I thought, oh, she's going to be so easy. I watched all these videos. I'm like, my gosh, Abel's going to be easy. She's going to be easy. Guys. No. And you'll see when you paint one for yourself, it's first off back-wrenching, time-consuming, and also just not as easy as you think. So easy to do a little flaw, you know what I mean? So just want to keep a little tweezers there so that I can pull off any little fuzz or anything, because when she gets wet, of course. Then we're going to go across her hand. I'm going to leave some coloration open on her hand. See, now look at, see when I go down, you see, I hope you can see that, where you can see the little lines on it. You got to make sure you go over that, because if you were to leave that alone and it dried, you cannot get it off. That's it. It's stuck there. So you're just going to have to call it a birthmark then, I guess. But yeah, make sure you're watching every little thing that you're doing and that there's not paint on your hand and that you're holding it underneath. I checked that before I put her away. But yeah, I don't want a lot on, her hands. I want some areas that are going to be lighter because I think that looks pretty. It looks like it cuts the blood flow off. Like on anybody, when you're squeezing your hand closed like that, are going to get some, blood flow cut off there or whatever, or the blood just not, going through that part as much. So I do want to leave some of that light on her, but I'm still going to go over it. We're not going to leave it completely light. See, as I do this, you got to go back down the arm again because you see that it starts to look like, what's going on. So why is it getting all over? So I'm just going to do a little bit here as well, because I did do it on the back when I did this, but I'm going around just a little bit with one more layering color on this because I didn't go all the way around because the way her arm was, twisted and stuff, and I didn't want it to stick to the bag. So this way she's going to be up on this little container. I'm just using that container to hold this arm up so it doesn't stick to her. Because again, if these babies stick together, if they're touching their own body like that, they'll stick. They'll silicone together. So just be careful with that too as you're doing that. Remember that. Her little feet had to be separated because they will stick together. So, because this is silicone, you guys, they're going to stick together if it's not done right. So get her little fist done here and just go in right here a little bit, but I do want them to stay a little lighter. So we're not going to do too much there, just on the thumbs and stuff like that with her. And go around. Like I said, if you get paint on your fingers and then you don't look, then she's got a flaw and it's like, okay, can't do nothing about it now because she's dry. And she did have some imperfections on her. But again, I always say imperfections make perfection. So when the woman painted her, she had left quite a few flaws on her that I didn't even notice. See? Because that perfection is, what you call, imperfection was perfection. So, all right, I got a little bit here on her shoulder that needs to be covered from a little bit of chipping or discoloration. So we're just going to fix that right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and go on to the rest of her without being on, just so that, like I said, these videos won't be too long. So, all right, just going to finish her up with this color, and then we'll go on to the next color after I put her into the case again. And I'll put it right there on the screen. I'm going to put her in the Tupperware container with the cover, leaving it open just a small gap. I forgot to tell you guys that. Leaving it open just a small gap. They dry a little faster, just a tiny little gap or whatever. And then leave her for 2 hours. I will be back. Okay, I'm doing an extra step with Octavia. She had some tears in the inside of her mouth on each side. And babies do get that from opening and closing their mouth, putting in food, maybe pulling on it or tugging on it a little bit too hard. So she did have, I didn't tear her, but she did have some tearing. So I've got the 110 and the Part A, which is the silicone. I wrote it right there on the screen from you. This is actual silicone. I'm going to use it to fill in. I have some on this little cap here, just a tiny little bit right there. And I'm going to put a little bit with a little tiny brush in that area to fill it in. So it'll help seal that, you know, again, closed. Just be really careful and use a toothpick in the mouth to hold this mouth open, because otherwise her lips are going to seal closed. You don't want that to happen, you guys. Oh, no. You'd have to use an X-Acto knife to get her mouth back open, and I don't want that to happen. So we're just going to, you know, put a nice, you know, layer in there just to harden up and to be the silicone, and then we're going to paint over it, you know, the lips or whatever. And I did go over the lips. I painted her lips again with the lip color. I gave her just a fresh coat of paint on her lips because her lips looked like they were peeling a little bit as well. But I hope you can see this. I'm just going into where that tear was and putting some silicone in there. And you can fix, you know, tears on babies too. Like sometimes like her little finger, she has that little pinky. I always get worried it's going to tear off. If you did get some tears there, it would be very easy to fix with the silicone, but it has to be silicone. So, you know, that's what I'm trying to do is just fill in this tear on her so that it goes, you know, back together and it's regular and there's actually silicone in there. And I'm building it up. I may have to do another layer after this dries because I'm doing this kind of thick, but I need a thick layer of silicone here to actually act as the mouth again, you know, where it tore. So hopefully it doesn't like start to run out. I'm going to watch her a little bit so it doesn't start to run out there. I want it to stay right there in the corner and of course right in the other corner as well. The other corner wasn't as bad, but we still want to make sure that she gets that silicone in there, and then we will paint over it, like I said, and I'm just going to be watching it as it goes. But okay, and like I said, and I use a toothpick, but I cut both ends off so it doesn't poke up inside of her mouth, so it's just flat. I just cut it and made it look like this. I just used the scissors and made it flat like that on each side, and then opened up her mouth and put it inside to keep it open so that it won't seal shut since I'm going to have silicone here. Like I said, I'm just kind of watching to make sure it's not running on each side before I put her away. And that was just a step I wanted to share with you guys if there's any kind of tears. I don't think her pinky is tearing. No, it isn't. Good, because I was going to fix that, but it isn't tearing. So, yep, you have a tear. You can fix it as well. All right, you guys, I'll be back. Okay, now we're on to the next layer, which is the blush tone. I'll write it up on the screen there. Again, mixing 50-50 with the Part A. I've already got it mixed here. I've been working on her. I've been working on her head, doing some more flush tone on her forehead and her cheeks. Of course, she just needs to be fixed up with her peeling, but I wanted to add a little bit more flush tones to her. I don't know if I mentioned that in the video. I was adding a little bit more to her because I just figured she was too light of a baby. So I wanted to give her a little bit more flush tone. Now, she's going to stay very light. You see, she's very light compared to Abel. Abel is a much more red baby because you would have seen at the end those photos. She's going to remain light, but I just wanted to give her a little bit more color because I just figured she was so light. So we're just going to dip into this. I've got some on the side here. And again, I've already done some to her face that I want to do. Now we're going to work on the chipping parts of her, which are a little bit here and down her arm here. And we're on the flush tone now one. And then right after this, then the next one we go to, I believe is the skin tone one, the layering color. If it's not, it actually is that peachy color one that actually is for the nail bed that I found to be a really good color for her. So I think that was the next one in line was that one. So yeah, so we're going to do her little hand here and cover up again another one of her. If you can see this, I hope. Let me draw in a little bit. Where I'm doing it, where you see she had the peeling there. But see, as each layer you do, it starts to cover up that peeling, which is just awesome. And then, of course, we're getting her hand more of a flush tone too. And then, but like I said, I'm going to leave some areas lighter like that finger there. I don't want that one too dark. So what I do is I just kind of go over the fingers and lightly go over that one just to give it a little color, but leave that one lighter. I want that one to be lighter on her. Okay, so then just like that, just covering that peeling again on her where it was. And I just want to show you just a little bit, and then I'm going to finish her up off again just because, like I said, I've already showed you the back. So you already pretty much know the layering system on this one. If I'm off a little bit, I don't think I am. I didn't look at the next one in line, but I believe it was the blush tone right after the red one. If not, that's okay, because after I'm going to look at my phone to see, was it the flesh tone or the peachy tone? I think it was the peachy tone one I did, the nail bed color one. That was such a peach color. I really liked that. It was perfect skin tone for her. I was showing you how it matched so good. You would have seen that video. It was really a good match. So, all right, that's what we're going to do. So let me just make sure I get this side of her hand here. Of course, all this already got done because it got done when she was on the other side, you know, turned over. It already got done, but I'm just making sure. And I see a piece right there. I need the little tweezers. see a little hair here. Okay, got that off. All right. So, oh, and see how there's paint right there now because I had paint on my finger here. That's what you need to be careful about. So I'm always trying to wipe these gloves off, but that's what happens. See, now that would be that mark right there would stay and it would be like a birthmark. So make sure you're watching where you're touching. If you get any on your fingers, the gloves and stuff like that, make sure you go around to check that. Make sure, because that's what happened to Abel and I didn't see that. So just make sure you check that really good. So, and then I go around her at the very end before I put her in the bucket to make sure she doesn't have any more hairs or anything. So I'm going to finish her up with the next layer. And I'll actually, let me show you the knee, how that's turning out. Let me show you. There's the knee right there. If you can, wait, I got to back up here. I'm going to get a little bit closer here. There we go. And then I can show you the knee. See the knee right there? So we'll do another layer color of that because this was a really bad chip spot. But you see, as we're layering up, just like the back, they were pretty bad back there too. It is layering and getting rid of that where it's going to be less noticeable. Much, much less noticeable. And because it's got so much paint in that area and then she'll have this silicone, you know, you're not going to really notice it anymore as much as you could see it before because it was, I mean, it was the color of Abel before he got painted. So yeah, it's like you had to cover it up with these colors or whatever and keep going so that, you know, she would be a nice, beautiful color over that, but not, you know, it's not completely covering it, but it gets to a point once I've done all these layers where it's almost completely gone. So I'm very happy with the way these paints are working and how they layer and, you know, just slowly layer up. I love that. And it gives her such a, beautiful color too. She's getting such a beautiful color from it. But I just wanted to show you guys that. I thought I'd show you one of the worst chipping parts of her. But all right, let me back up here. Let's see. Back away. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. Hang on. It's because I have a glove on. But okay, and then I can back this up a little bit. All right, so I'm going to finish her up with this layer, and I'll be back to show you guys the next layer. Of course, I'm going to let her dry right there on the screen for 2 hours in the Tupperware container with the cover, but slightly open for a little air vent. I usually just do it at the bottom by your feet, just a little air vent like that. All right, see you in a moment. Okay, on to the next layer. This one is the one that I call was called the nail bed, but it's such a beautiful peachy tone. It's the color of her. I'm mixing it with the Part A again, 50-50, and we're doing that layer now, just to give her that nice, like blush tone, because it's a beautiful, beautiful blush tone. And again, I've already done most of the baby. I've done her face and everything, so we're just gonna work on the hand right here. I'll draw in for you guys to see again where she has that peeling, and we're gonna go over that again. Another layer to build her up to, like, you know, I said, to get rid of the peeling on her, to cover up her peeling, and it's working so good, you guys. That's one thing I do like about these paints is you don't need a lot of layering. A lot of times that you have to do it, it layers up just with, you know, one of each coat. Some of them I did two. I believe this one I did 2 coats of, or the skin one. Might have been this one. I can't remember. I'm looking back at the videos as I'm doing it, remembering how I did it. So we're going to do that. And then I'm also going to paint her little nail beds, but that's going to be that red color there that's on there. I'll go over that in just a moment with you. But yeah, we're going to do that next. Before we do the white tips, we're just going to go ahead and get that done and, you know, get her ready for the little tips too. So I thought I'd get that done as well. But yeah, just, you know, getting her all layered up and cover up the peeling on her, and it's really taking to all these colors, so that's great. We've got some light spots, some beautiful, you know, blush tones and peach tones and everything. She's really looking gorgeous. So now I'm going to go on to the legs, and just wanted to show you guys that one, and then when I get to the nail bed, I'll come right back in. All right, now we're doing the nail bed. So I already did the toes, and I already did the one finger, or the one hand on that side. So now we'll do this one, and I'll draw in. And what I did was I'm using this one here, which is the lip color one, and the Part A 50-50, you guys, again. And then I did a little bit of the paint thinner mixed in because I wanted it thinned down. So it's much better. It works. It goes on much more transparent, and that's what we want. So hopefully you can see the hand here as I do it. And we're just going to paint just a little coat of this kind of reddish color, but gives it that nice tone inside the nail bed itself before I do the little white tips. So we're just going to paint this on here like that. At least her fingers are a lot easier to paint. Abel's was not that easy. His were so tiny. Like I said, I couldn't even do a nail bed, like a little tip on him. I could do the nail bed, but just not the tip. And even the nail bed was hard to do because they're so tiny. Hers are at least a little bigger. But you see what it does then? It gives it that illusion, because that's what color our, bed would be because of the blood under the nail. It's got that little transparent color of that red variation, kind of a maroonish red. So that's what I'm doing here, is just getting that done. And anything I want to take off, I just go back over it a little bit and just pull it off a little bit so it's not so, so red or whatever, which it's not. But I'm just saying it just, you can take it off, which is nice. And if you take too much off, you can go back over again. So that's all I'm doing. I just want them to look like that. Now her thumb is covered, so it's just her fingers that needs to be done. So that's good right there, if you guys can see that. See how pretty that is? And then we'll be doing tips on her. And then we can just lean it like that. And I already did the other hand. So, all right, that is that step. And now we're going to let her dry for 2 hours in the container with the cover on and a little gap hole for her to dry. We'll be back when we're ready on the next layer. All right, everyone, we're now on to the next layering. Back with the lip color one, which is the 235 mixed with the Part A 50/50. Again, I wrote it on the screen. This one I'm just going to go over her spots with a detailed brush and a sponge. I have it laid out here, and I've been doing most of it. I just got this side to do, so I'll show you guys a quick little clip of that. So we'll just go right where we see her little spots again, where they're peeled. So we're going to brush it on now. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yep. We're going to brush it on now. And I was looking back at the other videos. I guess she did get a double layer of a lot of these paints. That's what helped cover her. So I see that they're covering, but yeah, that they're going to need that second coat. So we'll go along, but I'll just make these little clips, quicker or whatever. So they don't, they're not so long. Because like I said, I wasn't even really planning to show you guys the front of her. I was just showing you the layering system on the back and just told you that's what I'm going to do on the front. But we're just going to go ahead and all her peeling spots that I've been working on, I'm just going to use the brush here and fill it in. Hopefully I'm not in the camera. And then use the sponge and then just pat it. So now we're getting a little bit of a thicker layer by putting it on with a brush that will help to cover her. So it's going to be this color here, which is the lip color, and then we will go on to the blush tone, and that's going to go into these areas too. So you get the two red tones, which are going to be the most covering, and then, go to the lighter ones. But this one here, as you see, it's just building up again. And we're just building in the areas that she needs it. Just, where she was peeled for this one. This one I'm just focusing directly on the peeled parts. So I'll do one more, and then I'm just going to sponge it, and then I'm going to leave it alone, and we're going to put her away in the container, again, for 2 hours for this to dry, and then we'll go on to the next one, which is the blush tone again. And we're going to use the detail brush for that again, just like we're doing right here with this. I'll just examine her quick when I'm done with the little tweezers just to make sure that she doesn't have any spots that, that little pieces of fuzz or anything, and then I'll put her away again. But as you see, it is definitely building. It's probably hard to tell on here, but the color is building just like it was on the back, and that's what I love. And then I'm just going to take the sponge itself, and now I'll just go over that again one more time with the sponge itself. And get a little bit more in there in those areas that we're peeling. Each layer just helps to build over that so that you don't see that. All right, so that's all the spots covered again. All her peeling again, went over it with another layer. I'm going to put her away in a container for 2 hours, leaving a little bit of a gap opening so that she dries quicker, and then I'll be back with the next one.